when we start our journey of, spiritual awakening and realizing all that we are, the vastness of who we are, it's a really empowering thought when you really think about, you're part of this big, big, big sort of everything. But when you really begin to think of everything that is part of you, it's really, really huge, and you will hear maybe like some helicopters and things flying above because there's a massive fire on Table Mountain. And I took my dog for a walk and, to go and have a look at it because I live very close to the foot of the mountain. And, I was thinking to myself, if the wind had to pick up or change, then, it could sort of like take everything away. And as human beings, we place ourselves in these perceived spaces of protection, our homes, our apartments, and stuff like that. And we put ourselves behind all these bars and walls and everything because when you really think about it, we are a species that has literally become terrified of our own kind. Like really, when you think about it, we have to protect ourselves against our own kind. And obviously the higher your walls are and the stuff like that, the safer you feel. But do we actually really feel safe? When you really think about it. And could that maybe be the reason why, a lot of times we open ourselves to so many things like substances, substance abuse and stuff like that? Because in many ways, even when you do all the right things, like, you take your supplements every day and stuff like that, there are still funny names on there that you can't sort of like, fully pronounce and things like that. And we don't really know, are those things even good for us, or is the very thing that's supposed to work for us, is that actually against us? But more to the point of this video is that, when you realize that you're part of so much, it's so amazing. But if you really thought about how much is part of us, and I find it quite interesting because when I came back with Bruno, my doggy, I live in an apartment complex. It's 4 stories high. And the sort of like the line of like outside the balconies that kind of look towards the mountain. So if you're on the upper levels, I'm on the ground floor. If you look on the upper levels, then you can sort of like see over the roofs of the houses and you can see what's happening on the mountains. And it was interesting for me because I could see the sense of, discomfort, trepidation, fear inside of everybody. Like, what if things go wrong? And here's the thing for me, it was so amazing because Cape Town's a very leafy area and there's lots of like trees, bushes and forest and whatever, wherever you go. And as I was walking down, I had this profound realization that so easily all of this nature that's around me that I see every day and I've got an appreciation for, but some days I'm like, I don't even see it. By tomorrow, this can all be gone. If the wind changes, this fire can spread so easily and everything can be gone. And, when I look at my life and, I remember somebody came to visit me recently and I was quite upset with this person because they put on my sort of like morning slippers, those comfy warm winter slippers. And this person's feet are smaller than mine. So they kind of ruined those slippers in the space of about 5 days. But I realized that, if I had to pack up an emergency bag to leave, to vacate or evacuate, what I would take. And I realized that I wouldn't take those slippers. And even if I lost those slippers, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to me. There would be other things that are more important to me that I lost those things. What will I take for myself? What will I take for Bruno? And I think the point of sharing all of this with you is just to sort of like share with you again the realization of how often in life we become so fixated on so many things that we don't see the beauty that's always around us. The things that really matter, the things that are really, really important. So I want to really encourage you to take some time to go outside and to look around you and to see in your life what are the things that are really, really important. What are the things of actual value in your life? what are the things that really matter, the things that really, really make sense. And to realize that you are part of so much more, and so much more is part of you. And the life is so much bigger because, if this was me a couple of months ago even, I would have been horrified right now because, I wouldn't be able to, there's no way that I'd be able to save all my stuff. What will I take? What will be important? What if everything burns down? I've worked so hard for everything, and so forth and so forth and so forth. But it was almost like there was a sense of calm that was coming over me, because I realized that, even if my quote-unquote life burned to the ground, I will just start over again. Nothing would really be lost, because all these earthly things, none of these things are really who I am and what I am. They are just jewels that I sort of like gather on this planet. But if everything burns down now, or for some reason I died today or whatever, then it really wouldn't matter, what my social status was, and how much money I've got in the bank, and, how many people like me and don't like me and whatever. And I recall yesterday I woke up and I felt so down. Like, full disclosure, yesterday I ate almost like a whole bucket of chicken. I had a whole lot of wine coolers because I just felt so sad. And I was like, oh, poor me. And, I'm 41 years old and I'm single and I don't have anybody in my life. And what is the point to my life? But then I also looked at a couple of things that I've been doing recently. I said that I'm going to put myself on a break for a week because I'm self-employed. And during that week, all I did was just lay around. Rest is important, most definitely. But, I was laying around, I was going through Netflix, I was looking at all sorts of nonsense. And I remember I was re-watching on Netflix Grace and Frankie. And so in the last week, I've watched quite a lot of it. And the more I watched it, the more I had this fear that was pushing up inside of me, of like, what if I grow old on my own? And what if this is me one day? And what if I never find love? And, what if I maybe live in a house like on the beach, and then I fall down the stairs? And will this be my sad life? And so I think it's just very important to really be very mindful of what we give our attention to. We live in a world where we just lounge about, we don't do anything, our body isn't flowing, we eat and drink all this crap that we put into our bodies. For about 2 days I didn't meditate because I was so depressed. And it's always interesting to me, and I always say this to my clients as well, that when we kind of need things like meditation the most, that's usually when we don't do it. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do, yes, obviously be a human being by all means, but when you feel the way that I felt yesterday, you feel down, you feel depressed, ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is the reason that I'm feeling this way? Because you know what? A good question to ask these days, especially with how social media desensitizes us. When somebody shakes their ass on, online these days, they are ever so empowered when you really think about it. If you really want likes and follows and whatever, if you can do a good twerk, especially if you can do a twerk with no clothes on, then you are standing in your power. But when you really think about it, is that an authentic idea? Is it really that we are, appreciating ourselves and stuff like that? Or have we been programmed that way? There's a whole season coming up now. We're in the holidays. Today's December the something, the 9th, I think, the 9th or the 10th. And everybody's, like especially when you look at Hallmark movies, if you're single, you feel ever so lonely and ever so unaccomplished, because you look at these movies and things because they're supposed to empower you and to make you feel better. But essentially, then you also say to yourself, well, these things only happen in the movies, So I'm going to really say it's time to wake up. It's time to use your brain and to wake up and to realize who you are and to think about who you are and to really contemplate in your own mind the question of who the fuck am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I choose to be? Because we are so desensitized and we are so programmed to fit into this mold that we really don't know who we are. And I think the time has really come for us to ask that question, who am I? My name is Adrian Nelson, and I am very passionate about supporting your growth.